I suspect many of you think that JJ is being inducted into the Stafford H. Pop Cassell Hall of Fame because he has the most history, most wins in AU basketball history. He also has the most wins in a season at 24 in AU basketball history. Our first two NCAA tournament berths, 2007-8, 2008-9, are because of his leadership in basketball. So in the 08-09 year, we won 13 of 14 basketball games. Think about that. That's over a 90% winning percentage and something that will probably never be repeated. And so those athletic accomplishments are what people think, oh, that's why he's in the Hall of Fame. But the reason why JJ, in my opinion, is in the Hall of Fame is because who he is as a person and his impact. I was fortunate to see a side of Coach Jones that most people did not. I experienced his humility, his kindness, his intellect, his wisdom, and most importantly, his passion for developing people, especially his players. One of my favorite events when I worked at American University was the etiquette dinner, and hopefully it still happens. But each year, we took our juniors, got them to dress up, so get out of those tank tops and shorts, put on a coat and tie, or something business attire, for an evening at a very nice restaurant in Washington, D.C., where a protocol expert would come and explain the do's and don'ts of interviewing, of fine dining, to make sure that they were prepared for any situation that they faced as they left AU and went into the world. That idea came from JJ. It was JJ's idea. It all started, I was in his office my first year at AU, and he was talking about how every year he did that for his basketball players. It's the first time I ever heard of that idea. And so I just said to him, I was like, well, can we do it for all the students? He's like, hey, as long as you cover the basketball, I'm good with that. And that's how it got born. And we ended up, fortunately, finding a donor to support it. But that idea, that legacy, that impact, to me, is Hall of Fame worthy. When you also think about team players, JJ comes to mind. So those of you who know me hear me say a lot of times, we must model the behavior we seek. And that was JJ. He was exemplary. He was an exemplar. He was always early to coaches' meetings. He was always willing to provide advice and insight to his coaching colleagues. And it may not seem like a lot, but for a 34-year-old first-time athletic director like myself, it was a game changer to have the most influential, the most visible person in our department buying in and being engaged and showing people that even though he was the men's basketball coach, he was going to show up and he was going to engage. And that gave me a lot of confidence as I was finding my way, figuring out the path. And I really do appreciate the runway that he blazed for me here at AU. So his on-court success provided so much positive visibility, and he really created a nice piece of momentum for me as I worked through the department and learned everyone. We all remember the 2008 championship game in Bender. So we're trying to get to the NCAA tournament for our very first time. We were doing everything to create excitement. We had local TV stations doing remotes, and they were doing early morning remotes. And so one of the things that we needed to do was to have JJ come and do a remote. But that would certainly disrupt his kind of rhythm, because the game wasn't until 4:30 later in the day. And those remotes were starting at like 6 a.m., so we'd need him there at 7 a.m. So as you can imagine, I don't know that he was fired up when I went into his office to talk to him about it. But when I explained what we were trying to do and how for the university, we were just trying to take advantage of every opportunity he could, he said, okay, I will do it. And the reason why he did it is because he always understood there was something bigger than himself. And he certainly could have said no, and he certainly could have not done it. And actually, in retrospect, I'm not sure I should have asked him because it was the most important game of our history. And so it probably would have been better to focus on his ability to win it. So something I learned, obviously. But he was willing to do that. And that was helpful for me, and that was supportive of me. And I am appreciative because that was about AU. And that was him giving something bigger than himself. And so in my mind, JJ is a Hall of Fame level partner. He's also intelligent, wise, and insightful. So if you are around JJ, you cannot help but become smarter. I remember hearing him one time explaining how coaches and administrators use different means to achieve the same goals, emphasizing the need for openness and flexibility as we navigate our unique paths to the best outcome. This simple yet profound idea has been a valuable tool for me for nearly 2 decades. I knew that intuitively, but he articulated it in such a simple way that I could really resonated with me. And so I use that to this day because it really is important as we kind of navigate these challenges when you're trying to do everything today. So he had that type of impact on the entire department. And I really do, when you think the most important word for JJ to me, it's impact. Everyone he interacts with is better for it. I was a much better AD because I regularly sought his perspective, as did many other coaches and staff. His positive impact on the department was multifaceted, and American University is a better place because of it. JJ is a Hall of Fame level teacher. There is no one more deserving of induction into the Stafford H. Pop Cassell Hall of Fame than JJ. His athletic accomplishments are immense and impressive, but he is a Hall of Famer to me because of his graciousness, his humanity, his intellect, and most importantly, his friendship. It is now my pleasure to present the newest member of the Stafford H. Pop Cassell Hall of Fame, Jeff Jones.
Good evening. Gosh, I didn't know half that stuff that Keith was talking about. I didn't realize. This is very much a special night. It's been a marvelous, just an amazing day, all day today. I'm going to ramble for a little bit, but the first thing, and unfortunately for y'all, not everybody got one of these little bobbleheads. They had them over here. And I just wanted to point out, after the game, I was changing over in Bender Arena, and I saw one of these, and I saw a bobblehead of Neil Kerwin and a bobblehead of Mike Brennan. So I looked at these, and by the way, if anybody really wants one, I've got like 24 at home. But, I always wondered, I was like, man, that doesn't really look a whole lot like me. But then I saw the bobbleheads of Neil and Mike Brennan, and I was like, this is pretty daggone good. So Dwayne, where are you, Dwayne? All right. When they do one of yours, you want to make sure that you double check and you're going to see if they can do a little bit better job. Congratulations on today's win. You guys made it exciting for us. And congratulations to my fellow inductees. It's certainly an honor to be included with all of you in this year's class. Happy, I know you're a very, very, very proud papa. Congratulations. In thinking about what I wanted to say this evening, two words kept coming up over and over, and it's thank you. And I was thinking, how can I express that sentiment in different ways? Those, to me, are two really, really powerful words, and the sentiment is very, very powerful. I'm very grateful. I'm flattered to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. But a little bit, as Daniel was saying, it's not the plaque or the picture. What I was reminded of all day today was the special memories, the special people, and the opportunity that I had, that we had during our time at American University. For me, and like I said, I'm going to ramble a little bit, and hopefully I can tie it up at the end. But and by the way, I do want to point this out. The last time, KD, you were there. Pete, I think you were there. I know Danae was there. The last time in 2009 that I actually spoke at an event like this here at American University was after we won the championship. It was at the postseason banquet. And I cried like a baby. And by the way, the over-under over here at my table is, I think they said 8 minutes. So, we'll see what happens. But it really, my time at American has been, wonderful. I look back and it was even reminded even more today. So many special people that I worked with or that I got to know, and it's really made an impact on me today, standing here before you. I definitely want to thank Jack. Just for being such a great friend and supporter, and everything that you do for American University, but especially I'm thankful for everything that you've done for me, and I very, very much appreciate it. Keith introducing me, that was a very, very nice, and I very much appreciate the introduction. Keith was my 5th athletic director. I kept thinking, every time that new athletic director kept coming in, I thought, I'm out of here. They're gonna get their own one. So fortunately, we kept winning enough. But I think with athletic directors, I kind of got a bad reputation that if you work with Jones, you're probably going to lose your job. But the truth is, I think they all went on and did very well. But I do want to, because none of us, the inductees, were able to get to this point on our own, and we've talked about teammates and for me the players. I've got 2 tables over here that of my friends and family that I would like to recognize, if you all will bear with me, because the life of a coach's wife, the life of a coach's family, the life of coach's friends is not an easy one. And they don't necessarily get to pick what their life is going to be. And my family over here, 8 minutes. So my oldest daughter, Meg, is over here. She's the one, if any of you all remember, after the 2008 championship game, any of the pictures, again, of me crying, it was her that I was hugging after the game. She actually takes pride in that. There was an article actually written in Norfolk yesterday about this induction ceremony and referenced her, and she made sure to rub it in on my son and daughter, my other son, my other daughter and son, saying that she was the favorite. My daughter Madison is here. My son, Jeff, is here, and his girlfriend, Denny. Good job? Okay, all right. And the story I want to tell with Jeff, it was right before the 2009 championship game. And I was right by the bench, and we'd come out, we'd done warm-ups, we came out for the last time, clock's winding down, and all of a sudden I turn and I look up in the stands, and all of a sudden my heart jumped into my throat because he was there. He had just gotten out of the hospital. He was in the Cleveland Clinic for a long time, and they surprised me. It took everything. Quit it. It took everything that I had to just keep my composure, and here I am, another really, really big game, and so I was able to keep it together, and thank goodness that Nichols and Frank and Garrison and Mercer and Gilmore and all of those guys kind of held everything together for me, because at least early on in that game, I'm not sure I would have been a whole lot of help. But fortunately, we were able to make it through and win that second one. My wife, Danae, she's been a rock. She's been amazing. Like I said, being a coach's wife is not very easy. One of the things when she went into Bender, she hasn't been back, I don't think, at all. I have been back a couple times. But when she went into Bender, the first thing she did was going to look for the little closet where the cleaning crew has their mops and brooms, and that's where she watched games from. It's not there anymore. She's like, well, the cleaning lady, when we played, this is a true story, the cleaning lady figured out that that's where she went. So after a while, she put some bottled waters and put a chair in there and tried to make it nice for her. But thank you, Dan. I love you. This other table, this motley crew right there, more family and friends, and the first group, we fondly call ourselves the losers. I can't really go into why that is, but Rich and Parker Moore, and then Amy Dacey. Now, Amy Dacey, and it's a big fancy title, so I don't know, but she's a big deal on campus now. And I was halfway hoping that she would show up for the dinner tonight wearing her AU cheerleader outfit that I had given her way back when I was still here. She wanted to dress up as a cheerleader for Halloween. She still got the costume. So people around campus are going to look at you very differently now, Amy. Chris and Gia Saliza are here. And then we've got Jamil Almard, my sister-in-law, and my niece, Ava, and nephew, Nick, and Simi. And I don't know what the whole Mosby thing is, but but anyway. But it's really, really special that all of them could be here tonight. It makes the evening even greater for me. I do want to recognize at this table over here, we've got Greg Lyons, Pete McLaughlin, and Kieran Donahue, three of my former assistant coaches, just great friends, and we've got a lot of great stories, and we've got our own meeting place later on tonight. I think it's the Avenue on Connecticut, maybe, or something, and there'll be a lot of stories that'll be told then. But it's great to have them here. We had a lot of great times, and I specifically with Kieran. Kieran and I have been together, because he's actually still at Old Dominion, where we both live in the same neighborhood. Kieran and I have been together for 28 years. He was a student manager at the University of Virginia. After that, he went up to Boston University, and then when I got the job here, I brought Kieran to American University, where he met his wife, Erica. Lacrosse, right? Yes. And Kieran was with me for all 13 years here, and then when we went to Old Dominion, he went down there, and he's been with me that entire time. So he's been a very, very good friend, loyal co-worker. Rumor is he contacted over 100 people to come to this event. Kieran, thank you very much. Appreciate you. That first year, so I get hired to come to American University, and I had gotten fired at the University of Virginia. I sat out a year, did a little bit of TV, kind of did what I considered a sabbatical, going around and traveling and learning a lot about the coaching profession. And then that next year, I went up to Rhode Island. I couldn't get away from Rhode Island fast enough, to be honest with you. But when the American University job opened up, I said, that's the one. I interviewed and was just hopeful. And when they said, "You've got the job," it was the perfect opportunity for me. In some ways, American University kind of saved my career, gave me the new start after things didn't work out in Charlottesville. But little did Kieran and Pete and I and Ed McLaughlin. Ed was the facilities director that started the same week that we started at American University. He's now the athletic director at VCU. We didn't know how screwed up American University athletics was at that point. Wow. We knew the basketball needed some changing around, but the attitude, right? And there were great coaches. I mean, Steve Jennings was there, Mark Cody, Barry Goldberg. I mean, we had some great coaches, but the understanding of the commitment that it takes to win, and that by trying to win, right, doing everything, pouring yourself into something and trying to win, didn't sacrifice the academic commitment that one wants to have, one should have. And we basically talked about how we didn't just have to change the culture within the men's basketball program. We kind of undertook it to try to change the culture or build a culture within the athletic department. I think in some small way we contributed to that. And as I said, we had other very successful coaches, and together I think we were able to lift up the athletic department to be something that it wasn't before that time. We had great times. Beating Maryland was great. Beating Florida State was great. It was frustrating, those first 3 years in the Patriot League. We had great years that culminated in losing in the championship game. And that they were good seasons, but getting over that hump, and that weighed really, really heavily on me. How could we get over that hump? And then finally in 2008, we knocked on the door, but this time we kicked in the door, and we were able to get it. And people have wondered, why was I so emotional when that happened? And I think it was because it was a relief. Because to me, I mean, yes, I wanted to win. I wanted to go, right? But I was so happy for the players, right? I was so happy for Neil Kerwin that, he's Mr. AU. I was so happy for the fans, the Billy Stones, Boots, Mark, Ted, Ron, David Aldridge, all of those people, right? That it meant something to them. We were able to accomplish something that hadn't been done at AU, but it meant something. And I think for me, after that game, when Meg and I were over there hugging and crying, I think it was because of that we had done something that it was a way for me to give back to the institution, to the family that saved me. So, I'm beyond, grateful. And then kind of the last thing, at the end of I believe it was the 2009 season, and after we won the championship that year, Bryce Simon was a player on our team. Great young man. In fact, I probably talked to Bryce more than I talked to any of these other guys. And we talk quite often. And I remember he was doing a thing like a journal for the Washington Post. And Nancy Yasharoff was helping him, write the daily journal. And the last entry of the journal, and I'm paraphrasing here, was something about, being in the locker room after we lost to Villanova. And that was the last college game for a bunch of those guys. What do we have, 7 seniors, something like that? And he talked about, in the locker room, hearing the sniffles and the crying and the silence, that he realized that when he came from Kansas to Washington, D.C., he came looking to find a basketball team and to play basketball. And what he found was a family. When I was thinking about what I wanted to say is, thinking about, I think I realized why that resonated so much for me, because like Bryce, I was looking for something I wanted. I needed a family, right? I'd been asked to leave. An American university gave me that opportunity. And for that, I will always be very, very grateful. Thank you.